Hey guys, good afternoon. So today is our first class, right? So guys are watched demo, right? So what
Yes,
we are discussing? So we are discussing about AWS with DevOps, right?
yes.
So AWS with DevOps. So what we will cover on this course? So initially we'll start with Linux, then we'll start the AWS, and we will include the DevOps tools, guys. So we will include the DevOps tools. Okay. So we'll go
Okay.
with. So initially we'll start with Linux and then cloud, AWS, then DevOps tools. Okay. So before Linux, what is OS? Types of OSs. So we'll discuss how Linux came, what is OS. We'll discuss everything. So in the tools we discuss Terraform, Ansible, Docker, Git, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. Okay. And we'll discuss Kubernetes and SonarQube. We'll discuss about the Jenkins also, guys. We'll discuss. So Jenkins also. The CACD will discuss. CACD, Jenkins CACD, GitLab CACD. Okay. So we'll show you. Guys understood? Yeah. So coming to the Linux, the Linux, what we will discuss, something like what is operating system? What is operating system? Types of operating system. Types of hardware. So fourth one is what is data center, how to deploy a application in hardware with OS. Okay. Sixth one is what is website
Okay.
real-time environment. What is Linux OS? To develop the Linux OS. Flavors of Linux and versions of Linux. Versions of Linux. What is virtualization? Physical versus discuss versus so virtualization. Okay. how to install virtualization software on Windows machine. Windows machine and how to install Linux OS on virtualization software like the OVM, Oracle Virtual Machine. Okay, then fifth topic is Linux architecture. 15th one is Linux file system hierarchy. And the sixth one is Linux basic commands. Basic commands, user administration, and file formations. 19th one, disk partitions. 20th one, package management, and install Apache and Tomcat web servers on CentOS 9 and deploy the application. Deploy the application. Deploy the application. Guys, so we'll discuss these topics in the Linux, guys. We'll discuss these topics in the Linux. Okay, is understood?
Okay.
So batch 57 now. Business. So AWS with DevOps batch 55 is then 24, 625. Yeah, please. So what is this? Master DevOps program on AWS with DevOps. AWS with DevOps, guys. So what is that? So the first, so what we are learning in the first, guys. So what is operating system? Types of operating system, types of hardware, what is data center? Okay, so we'll discuss this today. What is that, guys? What is operating system. Guys, does anyone knows what is operating system? Guys, does anyone knows what is operating system? Apart from
Yeah,
Mahesh? Yeah.
yeah. I think operating system is it means bridge between the software and hardware.
Sorry?
Operating system means it is the bridge between the software and hardware.
Yeah, very good. Okay. So Vishal, Kareem, Mahesh.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah. What is operating system? Do you know?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah. What is operating system?
Good. Or sir,
What is operating system?
bridge between the software and hardware.
Okay. Mahesh?
It's a mediator uh, between OS and user,
Mediator between?
between user and system.
Mm-hmm. Guys, Vishal? Yeah. No worries, guys. I will tell you. Yeah, guys. So what is OS? What is operating system? So what is operating system? Guys, which laptops are you using?
HP.
Yeah, we are using Windows.
Hardware I'm asking you.
Okay, from HP.
HP, right?
Yeah,
This guy is using HP. This guy is also using HP. So Karim, you are using which laptop?
So HP, sir.
HP only.
Yeah.
Okay. So these all are using hardware HP, Dell, Lenovo, something like that. This guy is using Dell. This guy is using Lenovo. So this guy is using HP, for example. Okay. So these are the people. Okay. Yeah. So these three are using Dell laptop and Lenovo laptop and HP laptop. Right, guys. So you are using so Dell, Lenovo, HP laptop. So what this is a hardware. Okay. What this is? This is a hardware laptop or something like a hardware machine. So this is also hardware. Right. So this is also hardware. Okay. These three are the hardwares. So you are the user. Who are you? You are a user. You are a user. Right. You are a user. So so in Dell laptop, which OS is installed? Windows operating system is installed. So why do we need Windows operating system? Directly we can communicate with the hardware, right? So why do we need OS on this Dell, Lenovo, HP? So hardware knows which language, guys. You knows which language? So for example,
Usually English.
yeah, high level. High level means in the layman language, you know only the, for example, English language. So how you are communicating with laptop? Through communicate with laptop. So through English only, right? So which language you know? You know English language, right? So hardware knows which language, guys? Hardware knows which language?
Binary language.
Binary language. So binary means zeros and
Ones.
binary means by means two. Binary means two. Zeros and ones, right? So hardware knows. So for example, so this is operating system. In the operating system, so this is the hardware and so this is user. So this is the user. User hardware knows which language, guys? Binary language. Binary language means ones and zeros. So ones and zeros. So you know which language, high level language, but in the layman, you know English language. So computer knows only what this is. This is our computer. Computer knows only in binary language. You knows only English language. Is there any possibility to communicate with each other? So is there any way to possible to communicate with each other? No, because of or user knows only English language and computer knows only binary language. So computer doesn't know the English and user doesn't know the computer language. That's the reason we need a mediator. So for example, these two people, who is this? This is Raghu. Who is this? So this is a Raghu and this is Mahesh. Okay. So Raghu knows Telugu and Mahesh knows only Hindi language. Hindi language. Yeah, so Mahesh doesn't know Hindi. Mahesh doesn't know Telugu and Raghu doesn't know Hindi. So how you can communicate with each other, guys? How you can communicate with each other? Is there any possibility to communicate with each other? No. So what you need, guys? Who need a mediator is need. So who need a mediator is need. Mediator is Karim. Mediator is Karim. Karim knows both the languages. Which languages? Hindi and Telugu. Hindi and Telugu. He knows both the languages, right? So here, Karim act as a mediator. Karim act as a mediator between the Mahesh and Raghu because of whatever whatever the information want to convey to Raghu. So he will inform to the Karim, Rahim from convert from Hindi to Telugu, and he will convey to the Raghu. Right, guys? So who is this? Karim is the mediator between Raghu and Mahesh. Same like as a computer doesn't know the English and user doesn't know the computer language. That's the reason we need a mediator. So mediator knows both the languages. Right? Mediator knows both the languages, right? So operating system knows English as well as binary language, as well as binary language. So that's the reason we need a operating system on our hardware. Operating system on our hardware. Why we need, guys? So directly we cannot communicate with that hardware. So definitely we need a OS to interact with that hardware, right? We need to interact with that hardware. So that's the reason. So Windows operating system is installed on your laptop. So Windows, not only Windows, OS, any OS. A OS is how you can interact with that hardware, guys. Definitely with the OS. Now you understood, guys, the simple meaning of OS. What is the simple meaning of OS? It's a mediator between user and the computer. What is that, guys? It's a mediator between user and the computer. It's a mediator between user and computer. Guys, understood? So what is OS? Guys, now tell me what is OS? It's a simple meaning, a layman language meaning. So what is OS? Raghu, Kareem, Mahesh.
Yeah.
It
It's
is
a
a
mediator
mediator
Similar.
between
between
user
user
and
and
computer.
computer, sir.
Yeah. Now you understood what is OS?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, right? Yeah. So which mobile phones are you using, guys? So which mobile hardware you are using?
Redmi, sir.
Redmi. Okay. Karim, you?
I am using Redmi, sir.
Karim is using Redmi. Huh? Raghu, you are using?
Vivo.
Hmm?
Vivo.
Vivo. Yes. Mahesh, you are using?
Nothing.
Nothing. So right, he is using nothing. He is using Vivo. He is using Redmi. Right. So these all are the hardware companies. So how you are interacting with this hardware, guys? Again, so this is the hardware, right? So this is a hardware. The hardware knows only binary language. You knows only high level language, English language. So how you are interacting with this hardware, guys? Again, again, what is
OS.
this? OS. So which OS is installed on your lap mobile, guys? Which OS is installed?
Android.
Very good. Which OS? Android OS is installed on your mobile. That's the reason you are able to communicate with the mobile. Because if the Android OS is not installed on your mobile phones, are you able to communicate with that hardware? Are able to communicate with that hardware? No. So we cannot communicate because of if so hardware knows only binary language, you knows only English language. So there is no possibility to communicate with the hardware. Definitely we need a OS. That OS is Android. Guys, so for example, you guys are using Wi-Fi. So which Wi-Fi are you using, guys? So Mahesh, I'm using ACT. I'm using ACT Wi-Fi. Some other guys are using Geo, right?
Geo.
They provided the routers, right? They provided the routers to connect with Wi-Fi, right?
Okay.
So after installing the Wi-Fi, after installing the internet, you are changing your Wi-Fi username and Wi-Fi name and password, right, guys? So how you are changing? This is the hardware again. So this is the hardware. How you are changing your username, Wi-Fi username and password. So definitely there will be a OS is installed. Then only we can interact with that hardware. Guys, from now onwards, what you can remember, you guys can remember. So if you are interacting with any hardware, if you are interacting with any hardware, so definitely there will be a OS is installed. There will be a OS is installed on that machine. If you are interacting with any hardware, definitely there will be a OS is installed. If you are interacting with the video games or something like right, so everything definitely there will be a OS is installed. Guys, now you understood? You guys can remember. So if you are interacting with any OS, definitely there will be a OS is installed. Right? Yeah, now understood. So now you understood the OS. Then types of OSs. What are the types of OSs, guys? Types of operating system. So how many types of operating systems are there, guys? Does anyone knows how many types of operating systems?
I think one is Windows and one is Linux.
Hmm. Very good. Very good. Kareem,
Sir.
what is operating types of operating systems? Do you know?
Linux, Docker,
Hmm.
by Kubernetes.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yep. Thanks. So types of operating systems, guys. So which laptops are you using? You are using the Dell, Lenovo, HP. So how many users are connected this laptop at a time? And so how many users are connecting this laptop at a time and working done? So how many users are working on this laptop at a time? So how many users are connected at a time, guys? Raghu, how many users are connected in our laptop? Mahesh, Karim.
Single user.
Only single user.
Yes, very good. So only you only so the single user. So which
Yeah.
operating system is installed on your hardware?
From my end,
Hmm.
Windows is
Windows.
Windows.
Windows
Windows
10,
7.
Windows 11.
Yeah.
So some other guys are Windows
10.
10. Some other people are using Windows 8. Right? So single user operating system. Okay. So types
Yeah.
of operating systems are single user operating system. So single user operating system and multi-user operating system. What is that?
Multi-user operating system.
Operating system. So here, how many users will connect at a time? Only one people. Here, multi-user operating system is nothing but a. So we can connect the number of people at a time and so work on this number of people. So number of people can connect and work on this server, work on this mission. Multi-user operating system. So for example, so what are the examples of a single user operating system, guys? What is a single user operating system? So you guys are also using the single user operating systems, right? What those are? Those are Windows
8.
11, Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows Vista, Windows XP. Guys, these all are the single users operating systems. The same like as a Mac also, Macintosh. So Macintosh also, so single user operating system. So what are the multi-user operating systems? So Windows Server 2018, Windows Server 2012, Windows Server 2008, Linux. What is that, guys? Linux is supported for the multi-user operating system. What this guys? This is a Windows. So who developed Windows, guys? Who developed Windows? Who developed Windows operating system? Does anyone knows? Windows, guys.
Bill
My,
Gates.
huh?
Bill Gates.
Yeah, Bill Gates. Bill Gates company. Which company he worked on?
Okay.
He worked on which company?
Microsoft. Microsoft.
Windows.
Yes. Very good.
Microsoft.
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 So
Yeah.
Microsoft company created two types of OSs. So one is single user operating system and another one is
Okay.
multi-user operating systems,
Multi-user.
right? So single user operating system and multi-user operating system. Okay. So Linux is
Yeah.
popular for which user, guys?
Multi-user.
Single
Multi-user
user.
operating system. Multi-user operating system. Guys, understood? So there are two types of hardwares. Hardware also two types. We need to install the this so Windows 11 for some hardware, Windows Server or Linux for some hardwares, right? So hardware companies also provided two types of hardwares. So for example, who are HP, Dell, Lenovo, IBM. What is that? IBM, compact, Acer. These all are the right. So HP supported two types of hardwares. HP supported two types of hardwares. So one is for single user operating system, another one is for multi-user operating system. Dell also support for single user and multi-user operating system. Okay, so Lenovo supports only single user operating system and IBM supports only multi-user operating system. Compaq also supports only single user operating system. Single user operating system. So what are those? Dell single user is for Dell Latitude. What is that? Single user purpose Dell Latitude and multi user purpose Dell Power Edge or 710. We have a number of servers, guys, for the multi user. So HP ProBook, we like to book and for server HP ProLiant. What is that, guys? HP ProLiant. So two companies are Dell and HP companies are created two types of hardwares. So one is for single user operating system, another one is for multi-user operating system. IBM is supports only uh, so multi-user operating system, that is IBM Blade servers. Okay, IBM Blade servers. Guys, understood?
Yes.
Yes.
What is that? Dell Latitude. So Dell Latitude series. Okay. Yeah. This Dell Latitude is for single user operating system. Dell Power Edge R710, R30. These are all the server operating systems. Guys, understood? So what
Yes.
this is? This is a server hardware. So it supports. So which OS? Multi-user OS. It supports multi-user operating system. Guys, we understood?
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is for multi-user operating system and latitude. What this is, guys? This is for single user operating system. Guys, understood?
Yes.
Very good. Now you got the clarity about single user operating system and multi-user operating system. So this is for multi-user operating system and this is for single user operating system. So this only one people can access at a time. This multiple people can access at a time. So Linux is popular for so multi-user operating system.
System.
Linux is Linux is supported for multi-user operating system. So now you understood who developed the Windows. Windows developed by the Microsoft family. Okay. So Microsoft, the Windows is a GUI operating system. What is that, guys?
GUI.
GUI operating
Operating
system.
system.
Windows is GUI operating system. What is GUI, guys? GUI is nothing but a
Graph.
graphical
User
user
interface.
interface.
Okay.
Graphical user interface. So Linux is a CLI operating
System.
operating system. What is that, guys? CLI is nothing but a
Command line interface.
command line interface. So how you are interacting with this Windows, guys? You are interacting with this Windows through the GUI, something like a
GUI.
minimize, maximize, everything, right? But in the Linux, Linux is a command line operating system. How you can interact with this OS, guys? You can interact with this OS through commands only. Commands only. How you can interact with this OS? So, for example, so this is the what this is, guys. So this is a 1 second, guys. Ubuntu, right? So this is the This is the Linux operating system. How you can interact with this operating system? You can interact with this operating system through
Command line.
commands only. Through commands. So these all are the commands. Yes, understood?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. One second, I need to delete this cluster. Yeah, forgot to delete. Right. This is the CLI, command line operating system. This is the Linux. How you are interacting with this OS, interacting with this OS through commands only. It is commands only. Guys, understood?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, Linux is a CLI and
Windows is a GUI.
Windows is a GUI. So Linux is a CLI, right? So why Linux is popular? Linux is portable. So we need 8 GB to install the software OS because so Linux through command line only, right? We don't need that much space because of Windows. So Windows operating system will be developed through images. If you want to install the OS, right, it will install the OSs also. So something like if you want to install the OS with images, so we need at least something like 50 GB to install the OSs, right? But if you want to install the CLI only alphabets and letters, we don't need that much amount of space need to install the OS. So this is the portable and Linux is a CLI, command line interface, something like why CLI. So Windows is a GUI. How we are attacking the cyber crime, something like ethical hackers. How they are attacking? They are attacking through the images only. So Windows OS is developed through images only, right? If you are sending the viruses from the images, something like the ransomware attack or whatever it may be, right? So CLI, Linux is a CLI, it will be a virus-free OS. And Linux is so secure.
Secure.
So what is that? Linux is portable, CLI,
And
secure,
secure.
and it's a open source.
Open source.
Open source. Open source is
Yes.
nothing but a free of cost. Open source is nothing but a free of
Free of
cost. I will tell
cost.
you the meaning of the open source, guys. Now you understood why Linux is popular. Linux is popular because of free, secure, CLI, and so we need a minimal space to install the OS. Guys, understood? So that is the reason Linux is popular. Windows is a commercial, guys. Windows is commercial.
Sure.
Commercial means
We
we
need to
need to
pay.
buy the licenses before using it, right? So we
Yeah.
need to buy the licenses before using it. So that's the reason. So we need to buy the license, right? But Linux is providing open source, free of cost. Why do you need to pay money and install the OS Windows? So we have a open source, right? We can get that and we can deploy our application on the Linux machine. Guys, understood?
Yes.
Linux. Who developed the Linux? Who developed the Linux?
So,
Okay. So now you understood the types of voices under Linux. So Linux. Who developed the Linux, guys? What is that? Linus Torvald. Linus Torvald. He studied in one of the university in 1991. He studied in one of the university and his a mentor. He is asking to create a new OS. New OS and he tried to create the new OS. The OS name call it as a Minix OS. So Minix OS is created Minix OS is created based on the Unix OS. So Minix OS is created based on the Unix OS, right? But Minix having some drawbacks. Minix OS having some drawbacks. What are the drawbacks, guys? There is no networking. There is no networking. So then he he overcome those problems and created a new OS. The new OS called as a new OS, and he is thinking to put the new name for that OS. New name for this OS. Then he realized and put that name as. So what is that, guys? This is this is Linus. What is his name? His name is Linus, right? He took first four letters from his name and last letter from last letter from X. Then he created as a then he created as a Linux. Then he created as a Linux OS, guys. Guys, now you understood how Linux came into the picture? Guys, understood?
Yeah.
Linux. You understood? So then he released as a open source. Then he released as a open source. So open source means one is free of cost. The second point is the second point is source code also available. What is that, guys? Source code also
So
available. What is source code, guys? So how he developed the Linux OS? He developed the Linux OS through C language, right? That code also freely available. That code also freely available. Is understood? So if you have that code, if you have the code, right, it will be easily. What is that, guys? I have a Facebook code. What is that? I have a Facebook code, and I will replace wherever the Facebook is there. Right? I will replace as a book space and book face, and I release as a book face software. Right? So I have the code and I have modified whatever I want. I have modified whatever I want. Right, guys? The same like some of the companies are took that source code and created their own type of OSs. Their own type of
OS
OSs. So IBM company took that source code. Which company, guys?
IBM.
IBM company took that source code and created their own voice called as a AX Linux OS. The same company, the same HP company. What is that, guys? HP? HP company took that source code and created their own voice called as a UX Linux OS. UX Linux
Like
OS. The same way, the same way, Sun Microsystems. What is that, guys? Sun Microsystems company took that source code and created their own OS called as a Solaris Linux OS. Sun Microsystems and Oracle
Oracle.
company. Oracle company took that source code and created their own voice called as a Oracle Linux. Oracle Linux OS. The same company, Amazon. Who is that, guys?
Amazon.
Amazon company took that source code and created their own voice called as a Amazon Linux 2 and Amazon Linux 2023. Okay. And Red Hat INC. What is that, guys?
Red Hat.
Red Hat INC took that source code and created their own OSs called as a Red Hat created three types of OSs, guys. Fedora, CentOS, and Red Hat. Right? The versions, so something like the versions are started CentOS and Red Hat 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the current version of a Red Hat and CentOS is 9. So what we will learn in this course, we'll learn the a Red Hat 9 or a CentOS 9. Red Hat 9 or a CentOS 9. So whatever the right. So if you learn the Red Hat CentOS or if you learn the CentOS 9, it will be same as a Fedora, it will be same as a Red Hat, it will be same as a Amazon Linux, it will be same as a Oracle Linux. So these two are the copy from the Red Hat Linux. So that's the reason. So if you learn the CentOS 9, CentOS or any OS, so here it will be operate easily 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 OSs. Okay, six types of flavors. The same like as some other companies that took that source code and created their own type of Linux called as a Debian company took that source code and created what is called as a Ubuntu. So some other Linux is called as a SUSE Linux, FreeBSD, BSD, Kali Linux, Rocky Linux. Okay, these all are the the same Linux OSs. If you know any one of the Linux, it will be very easy to understand the other Linux flavors also. Other Linux flavors also. Hello, who is this? Hello, welcome. Who is it? Nalini? Nalini, welcome. Oh, Mahesh. Okay, no worries, guys. Okay, so what we will learn in this course, we will learn something like CentOS 9 Linux OS. What is that, guys? CentOS 9 Linux OS. Okay. What is Dell Power Edge? Dell Power Edge or 710. Dell Power Edge or 710. So for example, we will take this one, guys. Okay, this one. Okay. Yeah. So how we can interact with this hardware, guys? How we can interact with this hardware? Guys, how we can interact with this hardware, how you can interact with your laptop, how you can interact with your mobile phone or Wi-Fi, how you can interact with this hardware, guys,
By using
using
software,
using
operating system,
yes, very good, using operating
operating
system.
system.
So if we install the operating system, then only we can interact with this hardware. Then only we can interact with this hardware. Right? You installed the CentOS 7. Then so you installed the web servers like a web server and Java, something like a Java and web server Tomcat. So, for example, web server Tomcat, and you deployed the code here. Where you deployed? You deployed the code in here. So, which code this is? fb.jar, facebook.jar or where? What this is? This is facebook.jar or where? Okay. So if you deploy this application in the server, so you are searching it in the browser. You are searching it in the browser. So https colon double slash www.facebook.com. What is that, guys? So www.facebook.com. What this is? This is a web browser. Web browser. Which web browser? Google Chrome. What is that? So Google Chrome. This is the Google Chrome web browser, right? So this is a web server. So if you want to see the content, if you want to see the pages from, so on the web server, definitely we are using the web browsers through the HTTPS. It will through the HTTPR, HTTPS.
Stay.
So you can get the pages whenever you log into the whenever you search the facebook.com, right? It will open the sign in or sign up page. So once you sign in, right, it will go to the server and open the your profile page. If you click anything, that is, guys, understood? Now you understood? Yeah. So we'll
Yeah.
discuss tomorrow what is website. Yeah. So what are the topics completed, guys? What is operating system is completed. Types of operating system is completed. Types of hardware is also completed. So what is data center? So tomorrow we'll discuss about the what is data center and so how to deploy application in the hardware with operating system. So I showed you, right. So we can use the hardware, then install the operating system, then then deploy the application. So what is website? Tomorrow we'll show you real-time environments. What is Linux OS? We already discussed. Who developed the Linux OS? So flavors of a Linux and versions of the Linux. So we already discussed this part, guys. Tomorrow we'll discuss virtualization, physical, real-time environments, website, what is data center. Okay, guys? Understood?
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, guys. So we'll continue from tomorrow.
Oh.